Hello my friends, today I would like to talk about a fascinating topic. And first of all, I have a question for you. What do Cristiano Ronaldo, Nelson Mandela, and Alva Edison have in common? Ronaldo, perhaps one of the greatest sportsmen in history. Nelson Mandela, who contributed to the liberation of Afro-American people in his country. Those people were oppressed. And what about Thomas Alva Edison, who contributed to the invention of the electric bulb? You're going to find that the three of them have willpower, okay? And what is willpower? Actually, the Stoics talk a lot about the power of this ability. Willpower is this ability to control yourself and make decisions based on your principles, values, and convictions, to the point that you are capable of delaying instant gratification. Think about your friendships. What if you have a horrible day and you bump into a friend and he makes an improper comment and you want to react and to tell him off, and you know that at the end of the day it won't be positive at all? If you don't know how to control yourself, it might catch up with a relationship. What about in relation to your partner? What if you at work have a colleague who is very attractive and you don't know how to say no when you perceive that that person is interesting to you, and you can risk your marriage or your relationship? What if we talk about work? Nowadays we are bombarded with different types of stimuli. We are very distracted, so if we don't know how to focus, it might be very detrimental to our success at work. So you can see that willpower is somehow connected to different areas in our life. It's very, very important. And for me, it's very ironic that we have this widespread idea that willpower is a deprivation of freedom, when it's exactly the opposite of, okay? A person who has willpower has more time, is able to have a greater perspective, has more options in life, okay? That's quite evident. According to one of the greatest experts in this topic of willpower, who is Roy Baumeister, no matter what your definition of success is, you are quite likely to find willpower there. There are two key ideas that I would like to share about willpower. The first one is that we have this idea that those who have willpower, they are able to resist temptation incredibly. Actually, they know how to avoid temptation. The second key idea is that we think that willpower is something that whether we have it or not once we are born. But as a matter of fact, it's an ability that you can work, that you can develop. It's like any muscle of your body. If you want to see results, you need to go to the gym, you need to eat well, you need to sleep. There's a reservoir of willpower. It's limited, so it makes sense why at the end of the day you are quite tired and you are not motivated to do those things that in principle you wanted to do, such as cleaning up your room or learning something or reading a book. So remember that it's limited and it must be renewed. That's why we need to go to sleep. That's why we need to rest. That's why we need to find that right environment in order to grow in terms of willpower. Okay, so the second idea is that willpower is limited. Now the interesting question is, Francisco, how can I work on my willpower? Okay, the first thing is that you need to learn to plan. Okay, the night before, I suggest that you use, for example, in my case, I use Google Calendar and I program, I schedule all the activities, and actually I also add the temptation that I'm going to have, maybe social media, maybe someone might call me. I try to foretell all types of temptations that I will have and will constitute a distraction, okay? So plan, and at the same time it's important to consider different rewards. So once I am efficient, I am disciplined, I'm going to get these rewards. For example, eating something that you like, such as a dessert, or seeing a friend, or going out. There must be rewards, okay? It's a great source of motivation for your willpower. The second thing is that it's very important your environment. we are quite influenced by our environment. What if your room is very untidy, disorganized, is chaotic, okay? It's gonna catch up with you, with your motivation, okay? So be aware of those cues, those things that might trigger a loss of motivation, less willpower. It's important to be aware. Sometimes that's why certain people recommend that changing your workplace, or if you want to study or do something, maybe you could go to a coffee or a different place, okay? That might help. The third thing about willpower is that you can start small. Sometimes we overlook the power of small actions in terms of willpower. For example, if you are on a diet, why don't you decline once you are with a friend and he's eating some snacks and he wants to share with you? Okay, say no. Those small acts can have a great impact on you. Okay, so be aware of this, that even small acts, because it's a sum. Because Aristotle said that excellence is not just an act, it's the sum of different good or excellent actions. So be aware of this. It makes sense why also, for example, Mark Zuckerberg, the creator of Facebook, he wears always the same clothes. So that helps him to have more discipline or self-control, because willpower is affected for everything. Once we have to think about decisions, that's draining our willpower. So if you want to be more efficient, you can start reflecting or thinking about those things that might distract you or might drain your willpower. Now I would like to talk about the Stoics, okay? They talk about that a great life is the product of 4 virtues, okay? The first one is courage. Courage to face up to the different challenges and obstacles and difficulties and hardships, because life is very complex and difficult. So you need to be courageous to face up to that, okay? The second one is justice. You don't have to be self-centered. You need to think about others. You need to do something meaningful for your community, for your family. Okay, it's regrettable because in our society we're quite self-centered, narcissistic, individualistic. That's quite common, and studies show that. So be aware that you are not an island. Okay, you are with people, with friends, with you in your society. Okay. The third one is wisdom. You need to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong, okay? According to Socrates, the founder of philosophy, that's key. That's the most influential in life, to be aware of what is truly good, okay? That's the source of joy. For Stoics, because they have a Socratic influence, inner peace is the product of virtues and morality. Okay, it's ironic because in our society we don't talk much about morality. We take it for granted. And the third aspect is discipline. Okay, and how can we cultivate the discipline? That's a good question. Okay, you need to consider your body. For example, if you want to work on willpower, take a cold shower, wake up early, plan your activities. There are 2 options: either you master your body, control yourself, or your body conquers you. Okay, so that's key. The second aspect is your mind, your cognitive faculties. Do you know how to meditate, to pray, to be focused, or you are constantly distracted so that you cannot contemplate life? Socrates said that the unexamined life is not worth living. Okay, so in this area where we have this constant predisposition to be improving, it's very important to contemplate life, to meditate, okay, to be focused. And the third one is your soul. Okay, that inner voice, that consciousness that you have. And the question is, how do you cultivate your soul? Actually, soul entails all these aspects, okay? Learn to be virtuous, okay? And self-discipline is very influential if you want to be a virtuous person. So for me, those are the ingredients. To sum up, it's important to plan, be aware of your environment, start small. Even small actions can have a great impact on your life in order to have willpower. I often talk about pornography because there's a crisis of masculinity, and you're gonna realize that there are countless guys who are addicted to porn and they don't know how to share it, they don't know where to turn to in order to solve this problem. They've lost faith, and I am quite convinced that willpower is very helpful and it's something that they need to work on. So I will apply this idea of the temptation to watch porn and use these concepts. Plan how you're going to face up to this temptation, to this addiction. What's about the environment? You're going to see that many guys say that they are next to their phone on their bed when they want to sleep and they end up watching porn. What places lead you to give in to temptation? Start small. You can have different goals, resolutions, and it might be quite helpful. This is very important, okay? This is the key to a happy life, to a virtuous life. You need to work on courage, justice, wisdom, discipline, and especially work on those aspects. Otherwise, it's quite difficult. If you are not very fit, if you don't do exercise, if you don't challenge yourself. In my case, for example, I hate working out, but I do it every single day, and especially first thing in the morning, because I find it very rewarding. At the end, when I finish my session, I say, okay, I accomplished my first goal of the day, and that's awesome. I love sports, but working out is not something that I like it, or running, okay? So work on your mind, work on your soul. In our society nowadays, we have this tendency to look for self-improvement and constant joy. And let me tell you that it's okay not to be looking for that all the time. It's okay to stop so that you can connect with your values, with your essence, so that you can contemplate life. Without compassion, self-discipline is destructive, is detrimental. I see several people who are slaves to this fixed idea of discipline, and they lose sight of very essential things in life, such as your friendship, your family, contemplation. I think about a friend who goes to bed at 10. He's incredibly rigid, but what if another friend needs help? No, before human beings, there is this idea of being loyal or faithful to a schedule, and that's detrimental, okay? So I wanted to tell you that it's ironic. Once you stop thinking all the time about efficiency, about joy, about self-improvement, you're going to be happier. You're going to find more inner peace, okay? Because what's the point? Socrates said that the most important thing that you can do in your life is to cultivate your soul. It reminds me of Jesus Christ, who said, what's the point of gaining the whole world if you lose your soul? Be aware of this balance between self-discipline and your values, compassion, connection, contribution to others. That's one of the key ideas. I suggest you read this book by Baumeister, whose name is exactly Willpower, okay? So if you like the video, don't forget to make a comment and to tell me which other topic you would like me to address in the future.